Imagine this, France's last ever execution by guillotine happened in 1977, the same year that Star Wars blasted into theaters and changed Hollywood forever. Two completely different worlds, separated by centuries of history, yet somehow tied together in this astonishing coincidence. What if I told you that around the same time, ancient civilizations, revolutionary inventions, and iconic leaders were all overlapping in ways you never expected? Today, we're diving into the bizarre, mind-blowing connections between guillotines, Star Wars, and the incredible timeline of human history. Stay tuned, this is a story you won't want to miss. The last guillotine in France. On September 10th, 1977, Hamida Jandoubi, a Tunisian immigrant convicted of murder, was executed by guillotine in a prison in Marseille, France. This marked the final time the device was used for an execution in France, closing an era that had begun over 2 centuries earlier during the tumult of the French Revolution. The guillotine itself, an icon of revolutionary justice, represented a hope for more humane, equitable punishment, at least in theory. Its invention was driven by the revolutionary ideals of equality and efficiency, designed to eliminate the barbarity of previous methods like hanging or firing squads. The device gained notoriety during the French Revolution, when it became a symbol of both justice and terror. The story begins with Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotine, a French physician and politician who championed the device's adoption as a supposedly more humane method of execution. While the device was not invented by Guillotine himself, he supported laws requiring its use, believing it to be a more merciful form of capital punishment. The first use of the guillotine in France occurred in April 1792, and over the next century it claimed the lives of thousands, including Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. By the time the last execution occurred in 1977, the device had become a symbol of a bygone age, a relic of revolutionary fervour that persisted despite evolving notions of human rights. France officially abolished the death penalty in 1981, forever removing the guillotine from its legal landscape. Today, the device remains a stark reminder of the past. A museum dedicated to the guillotine in Sweden preserves its history for reflection. The year of contrasts, 1977, and the birth of Star Wars. The coincidence of France's last guillotine execution in 1977 is particularly striking because that same year marked the release of the groundbreaking film Star Wars, later retitled Star Wars Episode IV: A New Hope. Directed by George Lucas, the film revolutionized cinema and pop culture, igniting a global phenomenon that endures to this day. Its release symbolized a new era of technological innovation, storytelling, and entertainment, an era that seemed worlds apart from the brutal final chapter of France's use of the guillotine. This juxtaposition invites us to consider the rapid pace of societal change. In the span of just under a century, humanity moved from the public spectacle of executions by guillotine to the spacefaring fantasies of Star Wars. The same year that France's last guillotine blade fell, humans were dreaming of distant galaxies, space battles, and the triumph of good over evil in a galaxy far, far away. A tapestry of surprising coincidences. The year 1977 isn't an isolated anomaly in the pattern of strange overlaps. Throughout history, extraordinary coincidences have woven together events, inventions, and personalities across centuries and continents. For instance, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, figures like Abraham Lincoln and Karl Marx could have been communicating via primitive fax machines, technology that existed during Lincoln's lifetime. Imagine the possibility of Abraham Lincoln and a samurai from Japan exchanging messages via fax despite the centuries and cultures separating them. Similarly, the invention of the first successful home video game console, the Atari 2600, occurred just a day after the release of the first Star Wars film, highlighting how technological leaps often cluster in unpredictable ways. The pyramids of Giza and the extinction of woolly mammoths are separated in time by only a few thousand years, yet they represent vastly different epochs of human civilization and natural history. Even more staggering are the parallels in leadership and culture. Queen Victoria was on the throne when J.R.R. Tolkien was a child, yet the world Tolkien knew was already fading into history while the modern age was dawning. The ancient Roman Empire's end could have coincided with the Ottoman Empire's rise, had history taken only a slightly different turn, an example of how overlapping timelines can reshape our understanding of historical progression. The evolution of humanity and technology. Delving deeper into these coincidences reveals a fascinating pattern. Humanity's inventions and cultural milestones often overlap with historical figures and events in ways that seem almost impossible. For example, the first recorded guitar recordings occurred during the early 20th century, while the Roman Empire was still a distant memory. Similarly, the first sliced bread, a symbol of modern convenience, was produced in 1928, long after the age of the pyramids but before the advent of the internet. The timeline of human civilization is a complex web of overlaps. The Wright brothers, pioneers of flight, lived long enough to see Chuck Yeager break the sound barrier a century after their first flight. Martin Luther King Jr. and Anne Frank were born in 1929, mere decades before the digital revolution, illustrating how history's milestones often coexist in unexpected ways. The end of an era and the dawn of a new one. The transition from the age of monarchs, emperors, and revolutionaries to modern democracies and technological marvels is marked by moments of coincidence that challenge our perception of linear progress. For instance, the last Eastern Roman, Byzantine emperor, Constantine XI, died in 1453, the same year that the Ottoman Empire officially ended its own centuries-long conflicts and expanded into Europe. Reflecting on the passage of time, what do these coincidences tell us? Perhaps they highlight the incredible pace of change and the interconnectedness of human history, from the brutal finality of the guillotine to the imaginative worlds of Star Wars. From ancient civilizations to modern technology, humanity's journey is marked by moments that seem to collide and converge in the most improbable ways. The coincidence of France's last guillotine execution in 1977 and the release of Star Wars is more than mere happenstance. It encapsulates the paradoxical nature of history, how moments of brutality can coexist with moments of wonder, how the old and new often overlap, and how the passage of time continuously reshapes our perspective. As we look back at these extraordinary overlaps, we are reminded that history is not a straight line, but a complex, often unpredictable web of interconnected events that define our human story.